the sonic bath, and even though the water, the sapphire, is showing a colour shift I almost never see, if the loop confirms it, this valuation could jump sharply. So keep watching, because toward the end I'll share an unusual sapphire fact that even many gem collectors don't know. So, treasured viewer, please join me for a closer look and listen. Okay, the sonic cycle has completed, and I'm going to lift the ring from the bath. And we'll give it some gentle cleaning. But this is quite a detailed brush. It really gets around the claws beneath the pavilion and through the diamond halo here. But that will make sure the ring is clear of all oils, dust and debris that it picks up. But let's do a quick rinse, and then just place these off to one side and give it a little dry, and then we'll go through the valuation process. And we'll talk a little bit about the item of jewellery. But once dried, the sapphire's facets return to full sharpness, ready for evaluation. Wow, look at that. Beautiful. Now, I've already weighed the gold. I used to have some digital scales that were battery operated, but I used them that often. I was constantly replacing batteries, so I've got some ones that are plugged in. So I've done that at the office before I brought the ring home to do the video. So it is the gold weight was 5.2 grams in 18 karat yellow gold. So that's the gold, quite a thick band of gold, as you can see. Even the gold around the pavilion is thick. It needs to be. It's got quite a chunky purple sapphire gemstone here, and those 12 diamonds. But let's give the gemstone a measure, as we can determine the carat weight by the size of the gemstone. So let's just give that a quick measure. Yeah, so it's a perfect round, which is coming in around crystal near the lower pavilion. Slight lateral colour zoning, it's only visible under rotation. But these features confirm natural stone with no evidence of high temperature enhancement, which significantly increases its value. But given the size of the gemstones as well, the diamonds, the actual halo contains around 30 points of diamonds. But let's have a look at these diamonds as well, so we can totally value the ring. So the 4Cs. The cut is excellent. Clarity is VS1. There's a few pinpoint clouds and 2 minor naturals in there as well across all the stones, but they're perfectly matched. These are certainly VS1. Cut excellent. Colour is that's very, very faint. These diamonds really are, well, they have to be accenting a beautiful gemstone like a purple sapphire, but they're an F in colour. So let's tidy as we go, and then I don't lose anything. Sapphire, we're going to do our valuation. So the copy goes to the customer, and I retain a copy as well. Let's do the sapphire first of all. We'll keep it in shot there so you can see it. So it's 1 sapphire. Sorry, number 1 item. It's 1 point. What did I say it was? It was 1.35 carats. And that is purple. Sapphire. Drum roll, please. This is worth in the region of £3,000. That's the value I'm going to place on that purple sapphire. If the customer was to try and purchase that from anywhere else, it's going to cost them that kind of money to replace it. And then we've got the diamonds, which is the second item, and we've got 12 of those, and I'll put SI1 diamonds, which I estimate to be around 300 So, with my calculations, we have a stunning ring. So that's going to be, but I've calculated it's a stunning ring. Now let's calculate its cost. So we've got 3,650. So 3,650. And we'll just fill there's no notes, not applicable, credit card. I fill in the personal details later. I don't have the person's permission to display that information, but for the purposes of the recording, we leave that blank. Right, so that is it fully costed. So that's how much this ring would cost to replace. Now, we need to get this packaged so we can send it back to my very, very treasured customer. But let's do that now. But first of all, let's give it one final little buff. I've got some little individual grip of a gorilla to get into that one. But there we go. Now these cloths are safe for gold and gemstones, so it's not going to affect the gemstones in any way. It's safe to use. It's impregnated into the actual cloth itself, so it's good for buffing. The gemstone up. But there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Now, purple sapphires belong to the corundum family, the same mineral group as rubies and blue sapphires. The colour comes from trace amounts of vanadium, I think, which actually shifts the crystal's natural structure just enough to produce violet and purple tones. But because vanadium-rich geographical, or geological rather, environments are rare, purple sapphires account for only a small fraction of global sapphire production. But most stones display some natural colour zoning, and collectors often look for stones with the visible internal silk, as this can indicate minimal heat treatment. But if you've watched plenty of my content, you'll know this comes in at a 9 on the Mohs scale, making them one of the hardest coloured gemstones for everyday wear. I mean, look how fragile that looks. But it's a 9 on the Mohs scale. Hit that with a hammer and it's just going to bounce. It's not going to shatter the stone. It is beautiful. But these purple sapphires show mild, very mild shift behaviour, colour shift behaviour under different lighting. is why the stone can appear more violet outdoors and a more reddish purple under warm indoor light. As I hope that is picking up there. But anyway, let's get this all wrapped up for my very loyal customer. She has lots of grand pieces like this that when you own jewellery, it's always best to have your valuations up to date, because if anything was to happen to your item of jewellery, for insurance purposes, you've got a written record, and because gold and gemstones shift in value, they can go up, they can go down. It's always best to have up-to-date valuations. So a lot of jewellers, they don't just sell jewellery, they value it, and it helps with additional income. But let's get this in a bag. Not a bag, we need to put it in a velvet. I always like to return them back in a velvet case. Well, it's a velvet envelope which protects the polished gold from abrasion. Did I even get a bag out there? No, I didn't. Dear me. But we'll just place the valuation in there and put both items in the polythene bag. I keep doing that, knocking the camera. Let me just adjust that. It's here and my hands are there, so, and I don't have big hands, so don't know what's happening there. Apologies though if that disturbed your relaxation, but let's get that sealed. And there we have it, all packaged nicely, valued and cleaned. So I know she's going to be thrilled with that valuation, because that has actually increased from the last value. So she'll be very happy about that. But a lot of people don't get these valued for selling. They, like I say, they get them for insurance purposes, so she can have an up-to-date valuation. So if anything was horrible to happen to that stone, if she was to lose it, or I'll not go into the other particular situations that may arise where she could lose that. We don't want to even discuss that. But let's go back to that little fact I mentioned at the start of the video that not many even gemstone collectors know about. But some natural sapphires contain microscopic growth lines caused by a hexagonal zoning, and in very rare cases these lines form a faint 6-point pattern inside the stone. Sadly, this doesn't have that, and it can only be seen under 10 times magnification, but it does act like a structural fingerprint, confirming the crystal formed in a pure, undisturbed geological environment. Like I say, even a detail not many collectors are aware of. But that sadly brings us to the end of another video. I hope you've enjoyed the process of what goes into valuing a gemstone. There's quite a lot of detail that you have to look at to value a gemstone. So, given the inclusions in there that I mentioned, I hope you've learned something a little bit about that, of the types of inclusions that you find in gemstones. They do have names, pinpoints, clouds, and wisps as well. You can get but similar to the cloud, and you can get milkiness, particularly to emerald gemstones. They have a milkiness to them. But like I say, if you've enjoyed learning about these gemstones, then please drop me a comment. It really does help, and give me a thumbs up. I am here every week. I upload every week, so I always have a different gemstone. Well, try to have a different gemstone each week, and they'll rotate. Obviously, there's only so many gemstones that people are interested in, but I always try and make it something different, so we can learn something different about the gemstones together. So please leave me that thumbs up and a comment, and let me know where you calling from, watching from. I'd love to know where you're at, and a lot of the countries I can match which gemstones come from your country as well. So I'd love to know where you are from, and I've probably visited your country as well, given my previous role. So I have been your host, as always, Alexander Stone.